wana fuse, it's your think tank DJ Smart 255 hapa SNS. Kama mnavyofahamu, uchaguzi tuligusia juzi kwenye GPS na baadhi ya vipindi kuhusu na uchaguzi wa South Africa, lakini kama mnavyofahamu, sisi tuna report information ambazo tunazipata, tunazoziona mtandaoni. Kama nilivyogusia, na mtu ambaye sijui niseme ni South Africa, kwenye upande huo nitamwachia atajiintroduce mwenyewe, lakini ni mtu ambaye anafahamu vizuri sana na currently yupo South Africa, na ni mtu ambaye alinitosa hapo kipindi cha nyuma, so tunafahamiana, tuna historia yetu ambayo it's amazing. Naomba nimpe fursa ajitambulishe mwenyewe professionally, ni nani na anafanya nini. Aretha?
Asante. Hi everyone, my name is Aretha Mashotana. I am in South Africa. I'm half South African, half Tanzanian, but I've been living in South Africa for most of my life. I'm a political enthusiast, studied politics, international relations, and economics. Right now, I'm the head of partnerships and engagements in a fact-checking organization, and I'm working with Google as well in terms of just the political framework, and in essence, covering all the elections taking place in Africa. So we have media organizations that form coalitions to cover elections, to make sure that everybody is held accountable. If there are facts that are not true, we highlight that this is misinformed. Just recently, we corrected Ramaphosa on a statement that he made, and he came back to us stating that it was misinformation that he spread, and he corrected himself. Amazing. So high level, that's what we do. We combat misinformation and debunk false information. So that's me.
Thank you very much. Binafsi, by the way, she has an amazing Swahili accent. Nitamuomba kama atakubali aongee Kiswahili so that so kabla hatujaingia rasmi kwenye kuongelea imada, mimi na wewe tunafahamiana siku nyingi, tuna historia yetu, japokuwa ulinitosa. But naomba tuwapeleke watu ambao hawakufahamu, niwarudishe nyuma kidogo. Kwa nini unaongea Kiswahili? Why do
babangu? Okay, nitajaribu kuongea Kiswahili changu, lakini you'll laugh at me. So,
I love it. I'm sure they'll love it as well.
My Swahili is terrible, but anyway, what matters is I understand, right?
Yes.
My father was in exile. He was part of the ANC, the Mtoto party, MK, the one that's currently, you know, MK.
Yes.
And Jacob Zuma. Yes, the one.
I'm begging you to kuongea Kiswahili, please.
Okay. Oh my lord. Okay, but my Swahili is so bad. Okay, I'll try.
So
alikuwa exile. Alikuwa part of ANC, wakampeleka Tanzania, actually to be specific, Dodoma.
Okay.
Ndo akampeleka mama yangu.
Mwaka gani?
This was kama 1987.
Okay.
Yes. 1987, wakutana huko chuo, wakapendana, blah blah blah, the rest is history. They got married. Mandela, once he was released from prison, walipomtoa, ndo we could be able to tuliweza kurudi South Africa, because babangu at that time alikuwa terrorist
labeled as terrorist. Yes.
The MK, yeah. Remember, Mandela was also a terrorist.
Na ndo bana nataka watu hakuwa terrorist. He was labeled as a terrorist.
He was labeled, yes. Labeled. That's what by the apartheid regime.
Kama vile Mandela.
Yes. He was fighting for freedom. Mkonto Sizwe, MK is the military wing, ANC, zamani.
Yeah.
So, MK.
So, chama MK, which is Mkonto Sizwe.
Yes, it was the army. The army, the military fighting wing. Mkonto Sizwe.
Okay, yes. Mimi sikujua.
So, hata sisi tulikuwa tuna jina tofauti because walikuwa namtafuta blah 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 blah. Mandela alipotoka jela, whatever, then life went on as normal, karudi South Africa. Akaendelea, akaenda kwenye alifanya kazi kwenye military. Life was cool. So ndo historia yangu na politics. Alafu mimi mwenyewe nimesoma politics, nimeshafanya kazi for different political organizations, kwa hiyo na experience ya politics.
Unaweza kutajia baadhi ya sehemu ambazo organizations ulizofanya kazi?
Sasa hivi sitaki.
Okay.
So, where I'm working now.
Okay.
We are not parties at first. Sitaki kutaji where I was working politically. You know, because yes, but I've worked for multiple political organizations. I was a campaign manager. In terms of marketing as well, strategies. So I'm very well versed in that.
Nakumbuka ulikuwa na cheo kizuri tu.
Ndio. And then yeah, so that's me. Kusema ukweli ndo mimi. I'm sorry, my Swahili is not that good, but I understand it better than I speak it.
Iko vizuri kabisa. The mix of the South African accent makes it even better. Asante sana. So wanafunzi kama mlokisikia Kiswahili chake, anaongea Kiswahili kizuri japokuwa kina mahadhi ya South Africa. Wa South Africa wako very loyal kwa tamaduni zao na lugha yao na kitu kama hicho, kama mziki watu unavyoona, na that's why unafanya vizuri. So wanafunzi, nilitaka ni kuintroduce ni mumfahamu huyu mtu. Mnakutana na mtoto wa mpigania uhuru wa South Africa. Alikuwepo tangia enzi za Mandela, na tushaongelea kipindi cha nyuma jinsi gani Nyerere alivyosaidiana na baadhi nchi za Kiafrika ikiwepo South Africa, na baadhi ya watu ambao kule hawakuwa salama walikuja Tanzania na wakapewa hifadhi na wakasaidiwa. Na nadhani kama sijakosea, trip ya kwanza ya Mandela baada ya kutoka jela ilikuwa ni Tanzania.
Ndio.
Yes. So asante sana kwa introduction here, so that watu wajue mtu ambaye anaongea ni mtu ambaye anafahamu siasa za South Africa kabla ya kupata uhuru, all the way mpaka leo anapata uhuru, na amepita katika, mimi binafsi najua, lakini kutokana na position ambayo anafanya sasa hivi ambayo ni political analyst katika anatakiwa baki kuwa neutral, kwa hiyo hawezi kutaja baadhi ya sehemu alizopita. So Aretha, ninachoomba mimi wanafuse wana SNS wana hamu sasa ya kupata maoni yako baada ya kukufahamu, ni hebu take us through the South African election before and currently and what we're doing. Just to be nadhani tuanze hivi kwa sababu kuna vitu ambavyo umevitaja like MK. Mimi binafsi nilikuwa sijui it was the army wing of ANC. Umeona, which means something that is ringing in my head was Jacob Zuma also part of that. Umeona, alikuwa was he working for the wing? This is information which is very critical. Na kuna wagombea wengine ambao pia walikuwepo na vyama vingine. Kama unaweza ukatupa very briefly, mfano MK imetokana na nini na kiongozi wake ametokea wapi? Let's say ANC tunaifahamu, lakini unaweza ukatupa brief na kiongozi wake yuko wapi, so that watu wajue wagombea ni wa aina gani.
That's a very challenging question, but I'll try my best.
Yes, very briefly and very simply. Kwa mtu ambaye kwa sababu outsiders.
Unajua, the reality hapa South Africa is that majority of the parties wametoka ANC.
Okay.
They have anger issues. They are disparaged by the ANC. So all the revolutionary elements of the ANC, they're out. EFF, MK, what's that other party? I forgot there's one other one. Okay. But ANC was known as a revolutionary party.
Yes.
But because of internal fighting and lack of getting along, people left and formed their own parties. And that is the strategy of the enemy. Whatever I'll call it the enemy. Divide and conquer.
Yes.
Do you understand? And that's why we are where we are right now, where we have a government of national unity. What is that nonsense? A government of national unity. Because for the first time since 1994, ANC has not been able to get the majority rule of over 50%. For the first time.
For the first time. And what
because of the
Tanzania, they're coming from ANC.
Excuse me?
And all the opposition, most of the oppositions, strong opposition, they are coming from ANC.
Yes. So you have to remember,
party, ANC would have won as usual.
100%. So this is more technical. EFF was ANC, but Julius Malema was the youth leader of ANC before. He fought with Zuma. So he decided to leave. That's why if you look at the EFF, and the majority of the supporters are young people.
Okay.
Because he was the youth leader in the ANC. So he's got that presence and energy.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, with the divide in the ANC with Cyril Ramaphosa and them arresting
Zuma.
Mm-hmm. He decided to play a strategic game. And you have to understand, Zulus are also very loyal to their people. Zulu, I would say it's the majority. I don't want to say tribalists, but like in terms of tribes, they're the biggest tribe in South Africa.
Okay.
In terms of numbers, right? And that's why it got the power that it has. And Zulus are very loyal, and Zuma is a Zulu. Mm-hmm. And politically in South Africa, you'll see there's always been Xhosa, Zulu, tribalistic issues there, but it's neither here or there. But with Zuma, after what happened, he was very strategic. He went to MK. MK has always been in existence. Back in the 60s, Mkonto was seized. No, 70s, I'm lying. Mkonto was seized. It's called Mkonto was seized. That was the wing that was fighting, the radical front that was bombing up, let's say, places that, you know, they were the army wing of ANC in fighting apartheid. But it still existed till this day. So Zuma took over that and he turned it into a political party.
And him coming from the back then, he used to be.
There we go. He was also a comrade.
Yes.
You understand?
He went home.
He went home. He went home, and those guys in MK are very old, and they still have certain views, so they understand where Zuma comes from, and that's why. But this whole thing, to be honest with you, it's a mess. And when it came to negotiation, because now ANC cannot rule alone, they offered EFF and they offered MK, and they refused.
So they offered EFF and MK.
Yes, and they refused. They refused.
Okay.
EFF, I know, refused for sure. I'm not sure about MK. EFF, straight out, there's a lot of statements I'm sure you can find online. They said, no, we will not go to bed with ANC.
Is it that it was a blanket refuse, they totally refused, or it was because of the terms and conditions that they refused?
Probably the terms and conditions as well.
Okay.
Definitely because of the terms and conditions. But ultimately, we're left with our colonizer, the DA, Democratic Alliance.
Which is correct me if I'm wrong, it's a white man's party.
Yes. And it's very anti-poor, anti-black. If you look at the problem is with a lot of human beings, we don't read manifestos. You vote for a party, but you don't know what they believe in. If you look at the DA, they say they're not going to give grants out to poor people. So people who are getting grants now will not get grants anymore. Just high level. Very anti-poor. If you go to Cape Town, where they're always bragging about how wonderful Western Cape is because it's so white and European, but they've got poor people in the streets that get arrested. If you are homeless, you get arrested in Cape Town. They're very anti-poor. Go look and research them carefully. They talk about, oh, Cape Town is lovely. No, Cape Town is beautiful. I love Cape Town. I love the Western Cape. Gorgeous. But there are areas that where Black people and colored people live in. No human being, not even a rat can survive there.
So I'm trying to understand one thing. ANC, which is a revolutionary party.
Yes.
Which was built upon liberating South Africans from apartheid and colonialism, is going in bed with a party which still upholds the colonial mentality and policies. Am I correct?
So in their policies, they do not hold colonial thoughts. I mean, it's illegal. Let's start there. But they're very anti-poor. They do not, and they are, in terms of immigrants, there's that immigrant issue as well. They like cheap labor. They don't believe in a stable minimum wage whereby everybody, for instance, should be paid $200 a month. They're like, we want to take it out. So it means that you can be exploited in the workplace.
Okay, so this is the thing. I usually read between the lines and don't fall for the mask. In Tanzania, there's something which was coined by our founding father Nyerere, which is ukoloni mambo sasa. So the what they did is they simply changed, you know, that the same script, different cast. So you can say that we are not upholding colonial policies,
but
you just change the technicalities, because if you want to exploit people, that was what colonials used to do.
100%.
If you don't want to give grants to help alleviate people's life, that's what colonialists do. So
100%.
You could say it's according to the South African Constitution, colonialism is against the law, but you simply change the technicalities.
100%. I don't have to say more. Yes. So now it's final. It's final. The good thing is Ramaphosa is still president. We are waiting for the inauguration. I don't think anyone cares for it. People are very disappointed. People feel that the elections were rigged. Okay. There are allegations, not allegations. I saw it in real time because we were monitoring the elections. At some point, IEC, the one who does the voting, it went blank for a few hours, which has never happened. But
I want to underline that. So the system that monitors the
went blank in certain stations.
For 2 hours.
Yes.
So hypothetically, during those 2 hours, a lot could happen.
And it's besides a lot, the certain stations that were not counted, the different voting stations, people's votes were not counted on specific stations, and that's the major complaint on the ground, right? But I think we have just given up at this point. Honestly, I don't understand, first of all, how the DA got the votes that they did, and if there are smart, clever blacks that do vote for them, I hope they learn a lesson. However, with this new government, I still have peace of mind because it's a government whereby whatever is implemented, we need votes. And the majority is still ANC and other parties. So the DA really doesn't have that much power, right? But it has influencing power, but not actual power. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how this works out. I think this next 5 years will be quite interesting. And also what I found very interesting with the EFF and MK is how the points dwindled for EFF because of the open border policy, which they made a very big mistake by not explaining what open policy means, open borders, because the people thought anyone can just come to South Africa to pata kazi, you don't have to apply and then for a visa, you understand. But that's not what they meant. Because of their lack of communication, they lost votes. And if you look at the complaints, everybody was complaining about the open border policy. That's why they performed worse than they did in the last elections. And it had nothing to do with MK. MK stole from the ANC, not the EFF.
So it was a technical mistake from their side, not communicating their policies in the right way.
Yes.
So I remember I did see, it's not during these elections, it's previous. Malema was saying, I'd rather not get elected than discriminate against my fellow Africans. During that, there was, what do you call that, something phobia, whereby people used to...
Xenophobia.
Xenophobia. He was not supporting that.
Yeah. No, amna mtu ana support xenophobia kusema ukweli. Amna mtu. Sema tu unajua hii media, once again, I'm going to talk about white media. Everything you read, all these things that you read, they're owned by white people. White people control the media in South Africa. So they'll send out a certain narrative to create a certain illusion because they don't want you to like us and they don't want us to like you. So they create division amongst black people? Why are they not talking about the Chinese that are coming here and stealing jobs? Why are they not talking about these online people that come work here and they have to get kicked out because their visas expired from America and Europe? Why? And they're increasing the prices of rent. Why? But you're worried we're fighting literally over scraps. Somebody who is a maid. Were you going to apply for that position? Obviously not. But they're making us hate each other. And it's a wonderful game that they've succeeded in.
And you said something that I'd like to understand much more. Ulisema kwamba DA doesn't have power, but it has influencing power. Unamaanisha nini? How do you differentiate between power and influencing power? Ebu waelezea.
For me, influencing power is the mere fact that you can come up with an idea and say, oh, by the way, ANC, do you think maybe we should stop giving out grants now because looking at the state of the economy, it doesn't make sense. You've already put out that idea. The fact that you're in the table and for it to even be a debate, that's influencing. You can influence the ANC. But ultimately, when it comes to the vote, there has to be a majority vote, right? And ultimately, obviously, the ANC has the majority and other party members. So that's what I mean.
So, okay, I want to see the clash of, or understand, either it's a clash or a harmony of policies. Sera ANC. Sera ya ANC ilikuwa ni kitu gani? Because every party, kila chama kinapokuja kinasema labda tutajenga maji, tutaleta umeme, tutafanya hivi. Kwa hiyo DA sera zao zinafahamika, not giving grants, na kuna baadhi ya vitu ambavyo sio vya kujali watu wa South Africa, lakini ANC policy yao ilikuwa ni nini na DA policy yao ni nini, na sasa hivi wako pamoja. Je, kuna policies?
So this is the wildest thing for me, which I'm still trying to grasp. Kwamba, the ANC is a revolutionary party. It's the left. The left. If you think about the left, you think about, in American terms, the Democrats.
Okay.
DA is the right. Republicans. That's how opposite they are in terms of their beliefs. And I was watching a press release yesterday from Fikile Mbalula, one of our leaders in the ANC, and there's such a level of arrogance with the ANC that I don't understand. And I'm telling you, the next 2 elections, they're going to be out of power. 2 more elections in my lifetime, they'll be out of power. The amount of arrogance, they say, we had discussions, which is none of your business. Us. Imagine we have elected you. You are a public servant. And you're telling us in a press conference that whatever was discussed in there is none of our business. Can you imagine the audacity?
That is arrogance beyond.
It is beyond. And even though they've lost a majority, they're still arrogant because they still have that bit of power. But I'm telling you, 2 more elections. Remember my words. But long story short, they've not shared the details of what happened inside the negotiations, what was agreed upon. When asked, that's the answer he gave to the journalist on national TV.
Last time when we were talking about this, nikasema kwamba ANC walichokifanya is suicide by going in bed with DA. Nadhani by the next election hawatotoboa. It might be the last.
I hope so.
The last one, kwa sababu inaenda kinyume na kila kitu which ANC was built and is fighting for, ambayo ni kuangalia maslahi ya South Africa, na unaenda kushirikiana na mtu ambaye sera zake zinaonesha kabisa hawaijali watu wa chini, wanataka kuwa exploit, wanataka kuwatumia vibaya simply because unataka kubaki madarakani.
Yes.
One of the most surprising, katika vitu ambavyo vya kushangaza sana, and naweza nikasema was unexpected, ni how Zuma became a disruptor. Yani alitokea out of nowhere and alibadilisha kila kitu na kufanya kwa mara ya kwanza ANC hawakuweza kupata majority. wingi. Ni kitu gani ambacho kilisababisha akapata support kubwa kiasi hicho? What made people support him that much?
Okay, just a quick disclaimer. I have to say, Zuma is the greatest politician under this African sun we've ever seen.
Okay.
According to me.
Okay.
After analyzing a lot of leaders, before that, liberational leaders and current leaders, he is one of the greatest politicians because he's good at chess.
Aha. Naomba uwaeleweze Kiswahili wa kuelewa ulichokisema.
Naomba you must translate that. I need you to translate that.
Sawa.
Haya. Go ahead.
Mtaalamu wetu anachokisema ni kwamba kutokana na yeye na kufuatilia viongozi wote tangia wa kwanza ambao walianza harakati za kupambania South Africa na mpaka waliopo, hakuna kiongozi bora ni kati ya viongozi bora kabisa wa South Africa ni Jacob Zuma, na ni kwa sababu anajua jinsi ya kucheza mchezo wa, nikisema chess ametumia, anajua jinsi kucheza mchezo wa siasa, anaufahamu vizuri.
Proper. Asante. Thanks, translator. With Zuma at this current point, the reason why people, if you look at economics in South Africa, as much as they talk about load shedding, everything, Black people were thriving when Zuma was president.
Okay.
And there was so much sabotage against this man. I'm going to almost compare him to Trump, even though Trump is corrupt. But when you're constantly hit with lawsuits, this, and it's white people trying to just terrorize this man so he can give up. Because what he wanted to do is empower the Black person. Empower his country people.
Na watu weupe hawawezi kukubali hiyo kitu.
And they hated that and they wanted to get rid of it. Now, under Cyril Ramaphosa, if you look at the stats, just go to the statistics. Numbers don't lie. He is performing so bad in comparison to Zuma. But what you all heard in the media, which is owned by white people, Zuma is terrible. Zuma this is happening because of Zuma. No. So the people on the inside who understand politics, who have been in South Africa, knew that there was a political target against Zuma. And that's why we're still a fan, and he's liberated a lot of people. He's brought in a lot of policies that help Black people. He wanted to bring in free education for the Black students. Yes.
So currently, hakuna free education.
No, but there's something called NAFSAs.
NAFSAs?
Right? Which help NAFSAs. It's called NAFSAs.
Okay.
So what it does, it gives you a loan and then you pay it back later.
That's not
once you start working. Right? Which also he implemented.
Okay.
So, but there were so many blocks to his presidency because of hate. And the reason there was hate because his ideology was to promote the African person in this country. And he also is a very lovable character. That's another thing about Zuma. And ukiwa around him, he's very lovable. He'll make you laugh. He feels like a dad or an uncle. And the Zulu people, let me tell you something, they're very committed. I told you this.
Yes.
You don't play with Zulu. And Zulus are the biggest tribe here in South Africa. So that also contributed. And also people like us who understand Zuma and understand what MK stands for were also the ones who might have voted for him. And also to just teach ANC a lesson. ANC needs to learn a lesson, and it's going to learn it the hard way this 5 years.
And one thing you said is also what I predicted yesterday, and I was saying, so looking in Africa, tukiangalia Afrika, vyama vingi sana ambavyo ndo vilikuwa founding parties back then wakati wa kupata uhuru, vingi sana vimetoka madarakani, na ni kwa sababu havijaweza kuadapt na mabadiliko jinsi yalivyo. Bado wana mentality ile back then wakati wa kutafuta uhuru, and that generation imebadilika, kuna mahitaji mapya na vitu kama hivyo. ila kwa South Africa it's different, kwa sababu sidhani kama kuna nchi yote Afrika ukiacha Congo under King Leopold III ambao wamepitia ukatili mkubwa sana kushinda South Africa, and sio siku nyingi, it's roughly 30 years.
UZ 94.
Yes,
I was born in apartheid, najua.
So ulikuwepo pale, unajua, so you still bado iko, sio ya kuadisi.
Yes. Yes, it's not what I was there.
Yeah, kwa hiyo ni ngumu kuona chama ambacho ndo kilisababisha hicho lose nguvu yake kwa kiasi kikubwa. It's a wake up call kwa nchi zingine za Kiafrika ambazo zina vyama vilivyopambania uhuru wasipobadilika, kwa sababu sasa hivi pia ni ngumu sana kudanganya watu, ni ngumu sana exploit people and manipulate people, kwa sababu the media is there. Mtu yote ambaye ana 5 sense of brain anaweza akaingia akafanya research na akajua unanidanganya
kabisa. Kweli.
One of the things niliongelea ni kwamba I went to Cote d'Ivoire to learn more about debts and everything for Africans. Nilivyorudi katika nchi ambazo zina madeni makubwa sana, na japokuwa ndio uchumi mkubwa sana, moja hapo ni South Africa. And moja ya vitu ambavyo vinatuweka sisi kwenye mtego ni haya madeni, these loans and grants ambazo tunapata nje. And it's exactly what you said when ANC said that it's the arrogance, what we discuss is none of your business.
Imagine.
Loans wanazichukua kwa ajili ya kusema ni kwa sababu ya Muafrika, kwa sababu ya barabara, kwa sababu ya healthcare, kwa sababu ya elimu and everything, lakini terms and condition wanazificha. If nyinyi mmechukua kwa sababu yetu, why msiziweke open, we go and see, tuangalie and we fact checking. Is the same thing. Kama nyinyi mko pale kwa ajili ya South Africa, kwa nini mseme mlichokiongea kituhusu kama mmeuza nchi? Unaona
kweli.
Kwa hiyo hali imebadilika. Kitu gani kilisababisha fall off between Zuma and EFF, Malema?
You know, it's that Malema and it's not actually Malema and Zuma. Malema had issues prior to
Fuse. Hiyo ni part 1. Part 2 tukirejea kama alivyotueleza mwanzo kwamba Malema, Zuma wote ni watu ambao wametoka katika ANC. Nimemuuliza swali, ni kitu gani ambacho kilipelekea mgogoro kati ya Zuma na Malema? So tutakaporudi atatuelewesha undani kuhusu hilo. Tukutane kwenye part 2.
Nini maoni yako wana Fuse? Tukutane kwenye comment section, and as usual napenda sana kujua unasikiliza kutoka wapi. Lakini pia nikumbushe kwamba support mnayotuma kwenye namba hii hapa inasaidia, inatuwezesha Fuse kufanya vitu vingi. Kwa hiyo tuendelevu katika kusupport, na support yenu inakuwa ina maana. Tukutane kwenye comment section. Atakayejisikia anapenda kuiwezesha Fuse, namba hii hapa. Nini maoni yako? And as usual kwa wale ambao wanapenda kuchat na kukutana na wana Fuse wenzio au wapenzi wenzio wa geopolitics, wakakaa wakadiscuss, watu ambao wana interest moja, watu ambao wana mtazamo mmoja, japokuwa wanaweza wakana taswira tofauti, lakini mnaweza mkakaa mkadiscuss, mkachambua vitu pamoja, mkabadilishana mawazo kwenye group yetu ya Fuse discussion lipo la WhatsApp. Kwa hiyo watu ambao wanataka kujiunga, utaratibu uko hivi. Lile group kuna support, kuna mchango, unatoa shilingi 6,000 ambayo ni sawasawa na shilingi 2,000 kwa mwezi. 6,000 ni kwa ajili ya miezi 3. Kwa hiyo 2,000 2,000 2,000. Kwa hiyo ambaye atataka kuungwa kwenye grupu ile, tuma message kwenye namba hii hapa, then utapewa utaratibu wa jinsi ya kuchangia. Of course sio malipo, lakini ni mchango. Vile vile ni mchujo wa kupunguza baadhi ya watu ambao ni wasumbufu na wasiojua utaratibu. Grupu lipo, kushatuma message utapewa utaratibu wa jinsi ya kujiunga. Naomba jamani tuelewe, kuna watu wanapata wakati mgumu sana. Hii namba haipokei simu za kawaida, haipokei simu za WhatsApp, inapokea WhatsApp message peke yake. Kwenye grupu tutakuwa tunakaa tunajadiliana vitu tofauti tofauti na kuweka video ambazo huwa haziwezi kuwekwa YouTube, zitakuwa zinapatikana mule, lakini haimaanishi kwamba kama haupo kwenye grupu hautapata taarifa. Kuna Fuse channel ya WhatsApp ambao ukifollow kwamba ikitoka video unaipata direct link ya video hiyo, na wengine tutaendelea kutana hapa YouTube kwenye comment section. Vile vile itapendeza ukinifollow TikTok DJ Smart 255, account name yapo, lakini vile vile unaweza ukatoa simu yako ukascan hiyo ikakupeleka moja kwa moja huko. Ninakuwa na posti vitu ambavyo ni fun, clip kwa ufupi ambazo mada ambazo nazitoa, mambo yangu ya mapishi na pochopocho za hapa na pale. TikTok DJ Smart 255. It's your techie DJ Smart 255 hapa SNS. Unaweza kunfollow on my Instagram DJ Smart 255, YouTube channel DJ SMA 255, Threads DJ Smart 255, Snapchat DJ Smart 255.
DJ Smart. Easy.